right now during COVID, a lot of classes have been like moved to online, and professors had to pivot to like all of a sudden from being in a classroom with maybe a whiteboard, all of a sudden now I'm on a screen with 30, 40 other people. And it can feel more like hosting a podcast, a one-way thing. It can be very, very hard to like get other people to chime in. I'm kind of curious, like, how have you been navigating this period? And maybe some advice for those who are just transitioning into moving fully as a teacher online right now.
Yeah, so when I first started this online journey with everyone else in March, I actually made a mistake, which was that there's been a lot of talk about flipped classrooms the last few years and for a while now, really. And the idea of a flipped classroom is that you kind of record the lecture ahead of time, the students watch it, and then when they come into the classroom, you then have interactive aspects where they work on problems from what they learned outside the classroom, so that and which is kind of what I've been doing all the time, except for that was one of my 2 days each week. So I usually have 2 classes a week of each class. And the first class is a lecture. And the second class is what we've been talking about, this more interactive where they're writing code and I'm going around helping them and they're working as groups and that sort of thing. And the mistake I made when COVID started was when I went to the online format, I made the lectures asynchronous, but I didn't have enough of what we've been talking about, which is that interactive synchronous part. And so for this fall, my plan and and I've also been learning a lot from my colleagues, what worked for them in the spring, is I'm going fully synchronous. So meaning that I'm not going to record myself ahead of time and have the students watch it. I'll still record the sessions for students who might have a bad internet connection or whatever. But I'm planning on all the students attending as much as they can the set time periods when the class is supposed to be, and having as much interaction with them live as I can, instead of just part of it being live and a lot of it being pre-recorded. I think I lost some students by going to that kind of asynchronous. I'm going to record these parts ahead of time, you watch them, and then maybe we'll talk about it a little bit after. So I'm trying to go fully synchronous, actually, with recordings for students who have any kind of issues. Our school is doing a hybrid approach where some of us will be teaching in person and some of us will be teaching online, and every faculty member and every student gets to make the choice for themselves whether or not they want to be in person or online. I volunteered to be in person. I won't lie and say that I haven't had second thoughts about that as things have evolved. But right now I'm still planning to be in person. And what I'm going to be doing is have the online students, because still actually in one of my classes, 2/3 of the students have decided to be online, synchronous with me in the classroom. So the camera will be there. There'll be a document camera. Everything will be hopefully as good as it would be if I was just doing online, but I still will be in the classroom for the students who are there. Now, I'm sure there'll be some technical difficulties, or there'll be sometimes difficulties navigating between the students in person and the students online. And I think that's something I really need to be cognizant of, that if this is really not working after the first couple weeks, maybe it makes sense to just go fully online and give at least everyone the same experience, as good of the same experience as possible, rather than giving the students in person maybe a better experience than the students online, or vice versa. So I need to carefully think about that as things change. But right now, the plan is to give the online students and the in-person students the same experience at the same time, and we'll see how that goes.
Thank you so much for listening to this clip of the Data Talk podcast. To check out the full show or see the full catalog of previous episodes, go to Experian.com/Data Talk.